Okay, I know you've seen the title. What I mean by that is, how do you raise your value to the point that you can start charging higher prices? So let's get into it. The first way is getting better at communication. Communication is valued so high by clients. If you can communicate your ideas and thoughts clearly, you're just automatically going to be able to charge higher prices. So how do you get better at communication? There are courses you can take to get better at it. My favorite way though is just practicing communication. When you're going about your day-to-day, talking to friends or family or coworkers or bosses or clients, think about what you are saying and how you're saying it and try to figure out if you are communicating your ideas clearly to them. If you do this regularly, you are going to get better at communication. So just practicing is my favorite way. Another way to get to the point where you can start charging higher prices is to add more services. If you're currently a Webflow developer, you could add web design as a new service, or you could add SEO as a service. There's a ton of different service offerings in the marketing arena that you could start adding as a service to charge more. So there's web design, Webflow development, there's SEO, 3D graphics. You could get into branding, reputation management. There are so many different areas that you can get into. Payne Clark Smith has a Webflow and SEO course. Flux Academy has lots of different web design and Webflow development courses. I just released a course teaching you how to create 3D graphics with Blender. You can check that out in the link in the description. I mean, there's so many different ways to learn how to add more services to your offering. There's YouTube. Learn how to do something well and then add it as a service. Now, one thing I want to mention is that value is a perception. How someone sees you is how they are going to value what you're offering. So just to give you an example, if you're working with a roofing company and you come into a sales call with slicked back hair and like a corporate business suit, they're going to think you just walked out of a boardroom meeting, and they're probably not going to value what you're bringing very highly because they can't really relate to you, right? And so you have to find the right clients who value what you offer. So I'm working with a company who's in the home services sales industry, and they value hardworking people who work quickly. So we're working together on a monthly subscription. And if I come to them and say, hey, if you send me a task, I'll get that thing to you in 20 business days, they're going to look at me and say, what? No, that's way too slow. We're trying to grow this thing. We're trying to work quickly. So one thing that I offer in my contract is if you send me a task, I'm going to get that to you in 3 business days, almost 100% of the time. Some days it's going to be in the same day or even 1 or 2 days, right? And so they value the fact that I work quickly because I fit in with their brand and their mission, right? So what you need to do is you need to find out what do your clients value, and then you need to start doing that thing or start selling that in the sales call so that they can see that value right off the bat. Now, I talked a little bit about communication skills earlier, but that's also another thing you need to get better at. And that kind of leads me into my next point, which is sales. Companies are going to value you a lot better if you can sell well. Anyone who's been in this industry long enough knows that there are companies out there who are doing just absolute trash work, but they're charging higher prices than them. And I just remember looking at those companies going, how on earth are they charging double than me and they're doing half the work, half the quality? And the answer is they've got really good salespeople on their team. Either the owner or the CEO is a good salesman, or they've got a separate salesman who just knows how to sell websites. So in reality, the better you can sell, the higher prices you can sell for your websites. Now, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. If the value that you provide is way down here and you're trying to get the perceived value of your company and what you bring way up here, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense and it's not very ethical. But if your value is way up here, and your sales skills are way down here, you bumping up your sales skills and getting better at sales is just bringing that perceived value up to the level that you're actually bringing value. So if you want to get better at sales, I highly encourage you to do so because it's going to help you raise your prices up to the value that you're actually providing. Getting really good at sales and doing poor quality work is not a sustainable business model, not to mention it's just not the right thing to do. So if you're sitting there wondering like, okay, cool, this is great advice, but like, how do I actually do this, Car? My honest answer to you is just do it. Just charge a higher price, right? You can pull out the calculator and charge to the nearest decimal point based on an hourly rate. Like, honestly, my best advice to you is just start charging higher prices and see what clients will pay for. If they're not going to pay for it, it means that your quality of work is just not up up to par, or the perceived value is not up to par, and you need to figure out which one that is. So if you normally charge $5,000 for a website and you think you're providing a lot more value than $5,000, next time you sell a website, say my prices are $8,000, and just stick to it. If they try to bring you down in price, say, nope, my prices are $8,000, that's what I'm going to stick with. Because if you do end up bringing your prices down to $5,000, you're like, oh, well, that's what I normally charge, so I'll take that. At that point, you've brought down the value of what you originally charged, and it also gives them the perception that they can kind of just tell you how this project is going to go, and you're not going to be able to run the project successfully. So start charging higher prices. If they don't pay for it, then maybe it means you need to bring down your prices, or it means that you need to get better at communication and sales to get your perceived value up to where it actually is. If you like this video, let me know. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.